Hey everybody, how's it going? Tyler here with another RC video. In this video today I'm going to be trying to clear up some questions that might be lingering in your head about the differences between Clodbuster based RC trucks and shaft driven RC trucks. Some of you guys, I know I've got a little bit of a following for my channel on RC trucks, and at least a few of you subscribers out there are, and everybody else who searches Clodbusters or custom RC trucks are going to run into this video as well. So I thought I'd go ahead and just explain a few differences between shaft-driven trucks and Clodbuster-based trucks, and maybe this will help you out, in your decision on which truck you want to purchase. Now, there's a lot more people getting into hobby-grade RC trucks. Obviously, everybody knows, what it's like to have an RC truck from a Walmart or another retailer. It's definitely not the same. Spending that $80 on what looks like a cool-looking monster truck versus, a couple $100 on one of these. There's a huge difference, and a lot of people don't understand the difference between toy monster trucks, RC trucks, and hobby-grade RC trucks. So, without further ado, let's get started. Alright, now the first one we're going to go over here is my first choice of truck, my very first hobby grade truck, and it's a shaft driven truck. This is the HPI Wheelie King. Of course, it's what it's based off of. This is not what you're going to get when you pull it out of the box. I do want to let you know that. A lot of people think that when they buy a Wheelie King they're going to get something that looks just like this when they see my truck. That definitely is not the case. Now when I say shaft driven truck, or some people might refer to them as Shafties, what I mean is that usually one engine or one motor, and it's driven by two drive shafts. If it's a four-wheel drive, obviously it's going to have two drive shafts, one driving the front tires and one driving the rear tires. And obviously, that's just like a real car or a real truck out there. Like I said, this is an HPI Wheelie King, highly modified, of course. I started out with stock Wheelie King. I stretched the wheelbase a little bit. I added custom links. I changed the 3 linkage to a true 4 link here, as I said, in some of my previous other videos. And all this is time consuming, and it does cost a little bit, to do if you want that scale monster truck look. Sorry about that. First thing first, I do want to to stress that doing a shaft driven truck, you could get a little bit more scale looks if you want to go for scale monster truck look than on a Clodbuster, just because Clodbusters don't have drive shafts, and their link setup is just a little bit different, and we'll go over that here in a little bit. Anyhow, to get a Wheelie King from HPI, it's going to be about $220, which is definitely not bad at all for what you get. Put a little bit more money into it, and you can turn out with something like this. Wheelie King stock starts off with a little shorter wheelbase, smaller tires, plastic links, all that good stuff. Stock 27 turn motor rather than my 19 turn that I've gotten here, and smaller nickel battery instead of my LiPo battery that I've run in this truck here. Also, no front servo mount or anything like that. It's definitely different than what you see in here. Shaft driven trucks, sometimes a little bit harder to deal with, because you do have the extra things to watch out for: your drive shafts, your transmission. You've got a lot of stuff in differentials that can go wrong. Your steering knuckles and everything, stuff like that can break. Of course, that could break on any RC truck if you drive it rough enough. But modifying these are a lot of fun. Just like I said, sneak a little bit of money into it, and you'll have a cool scale truck. This one it's getting faster. It starts off, it's pretty slow. 27 turn motor. It's just that was really slow, so that wasn't enough for me. So I upgraded, and I'm going to eventually upgrade, to a brushless motor, which will be even faster. And while we're on that subject, guys who are new into electric RC trucks, there are two different kinds of motors: brushless and brushed. The motors that I'm running right now, this is a brushed motor. Basically, there's some brushes inside of it, which I'm really not quite sure technically what they do, but all I know is that they don't crank out as much power and as much heat as a brushless motor with no brushes. I think brushless motors turn a lot faster than these. Like I said, I have no experience with brushless at all, so I really can't get into the technical things of it, but I do know that it makes your truck a lot faster, and you still need to upgrade some electronics in it. Basics of the electronics, it's pretty simple. Electronic speed control, or ESC. Then you've got your motor. Underneath here on my setup, I've got my transmission, which just drives the drive shaft, which allows my tires to spin so I can drive the truck. And then my receiver, which this one's a 3-channel receiver for my front steering, my rear steering, as well as my throttle. And you need that, and you need all these components to the truck to make them drive. Another piece of electronics is a steering servo, which is right here, and that obviously allows you to turn your tires. I've got one both up front and on the back of the truck to set up 4-wheel steering, just like a real monster truck. So that's basically the overview of it. My shaft-driven truck here, it's a 4-wheel drive, like I said before. A lot of them you get are 2-wheel drives. Your Stampedes, it's 2-wheel drive. Your T-Max, E-Max, 2-wheel drive. So they do have 4-wheel drive versions of them. Just like a real monster truck, it's set up with links, a 4-link suspension. Here's your lower 2, one on each side, and your upper 2, which just all congregate to the middle there and connect to this little aluminum deal, and that just allows you a little bit more suspension travel. Those shocks really aren't the best, but a little bit more suspension travel, as you can see, while the suspension is being flexed, and while you take the truck up, as well as put the truck back down. My shock setup, like I said, my suspension setup is not 100% perfected how I want it to. I do need a little bit longer shocks, unfortunately, and a little bit more wheelbase to achieve what I want to go for. I want to be able to have the truck setting and the links are level with the ground, and pick it up and get a lot of flex, a lot of travel out of that suspension. I also upgraded these from the small Wheelie King tires to the larger Clodbuster tires, just because it looks cooler to me. It gives it a little bit more scale look when you've got that bigger 110 scale body on there. They start out as a 112 scale truck, but I've managed to convert it to a 110 scale truck, which in my opinion is much better. The chassis is aluminum, made by STRC. It's an aftermarket part. Stock chassis is all plastic. Did not like that, so I upgraded it to aluminum. This truck is much heavier than my Clodbuster, basically because there's a little bit more to it, I guess. More servos. I'm not sure why it's so heavy, but it's heavy. Shocks, aftermarket, hot racing, internal spring shocks. Not the best shocks in the world, but I still like them. With a little bit more modifications, they'd probably be a lot better. But anyway, yeah, that's the overview of a Shafty truck. So we'll go ahead and move on to the Clodbuster and see if we can spot the differences. Okay, here we have my Clodbuster, which obviously you could tell is a completely different machine compared to my shaft-driven Wheelie King. First off, this is not a stock Tamiya Clodbuster whatsoever. The stock truck looks a little bit different than this as far as shock setup and suspension setup and chassis setup goes, so it's actually quite a bit different than this. This is set up as more of a race Clod, whereas my Wheelie King over there was set up as more of just a drive it and bash it, what we call bashers. It's something that you just jump and just drive around and have fun with. Occasionally you can take it racing, but not completely set up for racing. This is set up for racing. Low center of gravity, low stance, wide stance, and it's just overall an extremely mean truck. A lot of the Clodbuster builds, they turn out to be really mean looking trucks. That's one thing I do like about these. They've got, they don't have any scale looks at all, but they've just got a cool, race truck look. It looks like, take me on if you dare, race me, try to race me, I dare you, the type of look. Anyhow, differences, major differences between this and a shaft-driven truck. Go ahead and flip it over. You see there's no drive shafts on either axle. That is because each axle is driven by its own motor. This is a stock brushed Clodbuster motor. No idea what, how many turns it is. Never studied it that much. But I've got one here on the rear axle, one here on the front axle. Each motor drives its own axle. So without this motor, these tires aren't going to move as well. than if they have a motor. They'll still move and roll, obviously, but this one's going to be pulling the whole weight of the truck and just kind of dragging the rear end along with it if it ever went out. Still, a lot of room for upgrading. This truck is mad fast how it is, on two 4,000 milliamp LiPo batteries compared to my Wheelie King, which just runs on one 5,000 milliamp LiPo battery. Another difference you hear, some Clods run on just one battery, majority of them run on two. I'm set up to run two batteries, and each of them plug into my ESC, and they run different motors. That's why it makes it so fast. It's two motors, two batteries. Can you imagine having two brushless motors on here, compared to one in the Wheelie King? This thing would be insanely fast. That's just the cool part about Clods, is that they can get very expensive. We could build one like this for around $500. And that's just parting it, getting part by part. But they're expensive, but they're really cool after they're finished. I did not build this one myself. I bought this one ready to run, and I'm extremely happy that I did. Even though I don't have anywhere to race around here, it's still fun to take it out. Take it out into a parking lot, or in some grass or some dirt or something, and just drive it and jump it, and show people what it is and how fast it can be. Now the chassis. You might think it's very small, which it is. There's just only these two plates, battery compartments down here, all the electronics in the middle. This is a Crawford Performance Engineering Predator chassis. They sell them on their website. I'll put a link down there in the description if anybody's interested in building a Clodbuster. Stock Clodbuster axles from the stock Tamiya Clodbuster. Some more CPE Crawford Performance aluminum parts to hold the 4-links. Now the truck is still set up as a 4-link suspension, just like my my Wheelie King. 1, 2. Got my lower link on this side, my lower link on that side. Though 4 links, provide a really soft suspension. This one's set up with just a front steering, no rear steer. I couldn't even imagine driving this with rear steer anyway. So it's got a tactic servo up front. It's got all the linkages to steer the front tires. Obviously need that to steer your truck. Traxxas big bore shocks. I believe they're from maybe a Slash, maybe a T-Max. I'm not quite sure, but I do know they're very soft and very nice shocks. Obviously running the stock Clodbuster tires and wheels. There's a lot of options out there for Clodbuster tires and wheels. You just have to research it. There's Rumble tires, there's Baja tires, there's all sorts of things for it. Basically the front end is set up exactly like the back. A little bit differences in where the links are mounted. Like this link is mounted up here in this hole, if my camera would focus, and that link is mounted a hole lower. It's just all about setup and stance with these trucks. They're so fast and so light. This one is just so much lighter compared to my my Wheelie King. And obviously another major difference is where you mount the body. On my Wheelie King, you mounted the body on the body posts that were on the top of the truck. Body mounts on the side of these, so you have to drill holes into the side of your body or create an aluminum setup for the side, which is what I'm going to do here. In the future on this truck, because I don't like having holes in my body. It's just a big pet peeve of mine. Even though Velcro, it won't stay on as well, but it certainly improves the looks, and you don't damage your body when you put holes in it, especially if you get a custom painted one. But big Traxxas EV2, EVX2, electronic speed control, waterproof receiver, also Traxxas, and it's in this box. It's connected to a Traxxas TQ radio, which you can get with a Stampede. Basically it's their standard radio. But like I said, very fast truck, very different setup than a shaft driven truck. Clods are completely different. It's a completely different animal. I've learned a lot since I've gotten this truck. I already knew a little bit about this, the RC truck scene when I had my Wheelie King and I built it from stock. So that to me it's a lot of fun to build them. But if you can find them for the right price already built, then definitely go ahead and grab that up. You could just add on your own touches to it, or whatever you want to do. But like I said, these are expensive to build, around $500. I've seen $600. Get into the Diablo Carbon fiber chassis will be around, probably $800 for a complete build. But there's a lot of cool setups with the Clodbuster. It's just a whole matter of opinion which one you like better. I like both. I love the Wheelie King and the shaft-driven trucks for the looks that they give of resembling a real monster truck. But I also love the Clods based on the looks that they have, just because they look aggressive and they're extremely fast. So it's just all a matter of personal opinion. But there you go. That's pretty much the basics of a Clod versus a shaft-driven truck. I've got both. I'm fortunate enough to have both. I've also got a Stampede, a two-wheel drive truck in the house. I need to get it put back together. But after experiencing both, it's hard to say which one I lean towards. I love the Wheelie King basically because, like I said before, the scale looks it gives you, and that's my first truck. But I also love the Clod, just as much. So it's all up to you guys on what you want to build. Hopefully this video showed you and explained to you a little bit of differences between both. A lot of people don't know that Clods even exist because they don't really follow up the RC scene too much. So hopefully this provides a little bit more information to you guys about what a Clodbuster is. You probably hear it if you read RC forums or RC magazines. You hear the word Clod and Clodbuster and probably don't know what it is. I didn't know what it was back when I started with my Wheelie King. So just takes a little bit of reading up. I'll provide some links in the description of good sites to read up on if you're wanting to get into RC racing or bashing or just wanting to build one just for for the heck of it. Anyway, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being a subscriber. Any questions, comments, concerns, send me a message. I finally figured out, like I said, where to find my messages, so I can get those back to you guys. But as always, see you next time.